Thank you for joining us wherever you are. This podcast episode is brought to you by the Old Ways Actual Play team. This actual play uses the 5th edition Vampire the Masquerade tabletop role-playing rules by World of Darkness. This actual play is performed by adults and in an adult setting. Listeners should know that this podcast is intended for a mature audience and will include strong language and mature themes. All content, including names, places, events, companies, and so forth, that may bear resemblance to entities living, dead, or undead is strictly coincidental. My name is Rena Henze, and for tonight's game, I will be your storyteller. Good evening, and welcome to another episode of the Old Ways podcast, Vampire the Masquerade Chronicle Blood Moon Rising. I am your storyteller Rena, and tonight we are going to continue intimidating underlings and learning secrets in the dark of San Francisco. But before we get to that, let's have some introductions. So, to my right.
Yep. Hi, I'm Mike, and I'm playing Marcus Voss from Clan Bruja, who, in the last episode, likely overheard some very strange and interesting information, and he's continuing to think about it.
Marcus is a man of very deep thoughts. So we'll see what those thoughts lead to. And to Marcus's right.
Hi, my name is Tegan, and I'm playing Rahm the Shaman, and I am hearing a Malkavian dial tone in my head.
The Malkavian network hasn't perhaps caught up to the 21st century yet, but I'm sure it'll get there. And to Rahm's right.
Hi, this is Ali, and I play Katerina Bogdanovich, and I was making some thinly veiled threats in the last episode.
Or not so thinly. All right, and to my left.
This is Tiffany, and I play Alex Giovanni. And the disrespect in this town, something's got to be done.
Yes. But who will do the thing that needs doing? That remains to be seen. So, we are once again missing our resident Tremere, Vince, but I'm sure nothing of import will happen without his presence. So, let's return to our coterie, who had just decided to make contact with Dina Forthright, the Malkavian soothsayer and oracle who spooked Gangrel. So, how are we going about contacting Dina, Rahm?
Let's see. Our current location, correct me if I'm wrong, is in the bakery. All right, then in that case, Rahm is just going to ask if there's a private room I could use for a few minutes.
Katerina?
I let him know that he can use my office.
All right. In that case, you want to meet as soon as possible? All right. And Rahm is going to go to the office. And, oh man, are these desks cluttered? Are they covered in notes and stuff? Or is it a very clean office?
It's very tidy, but it's also very cluttered just because it's not a large space, and there's a lot of stuff to keep track of, basically. So,
understood. Well, Rahm will try to find a semi-comfortable position in perhaps an office chair or metal folding chair. I don't know what's in here specifically.
There's a couple of really nice office chairs.
Oh, good. Then Rahm's gonna just sink into that one, going through the process of cracking every single one of their knuckles and then their neck, and just regulating their breathing. 3 seconds in, 3 seconds out, hold for 3 seconds, all of that and everything. In the meantime, I'm just reaching out. and I am concentrating on not just the name, but my internal concept of Dina Forthright. Trying to establish some sort of connection that would allow me to communicate in a meaningful way.
Okay, so you are reaching out through the network, or doing your best to reach out through the network. And as usual, when you try to tune in without having a focus group, so to speak, like you normally have at, say, a poetry night, where everyone is together focusing on the same thing, when it's just you, it tends to be a bit muddy, right? When you enter this network, it's more like going into the intersection of a mass of rivers, right? So there are all sorts of undercurrents, and there are some clearer streams that you could follow. There's some muddier ones. Everything kind of comes together and swirls around, and it's a bit overwhelming if you're not careful with it.
Absolutely.
And there's a lot of different projections happening tonight. People talking to each other or ruminating on various things. There's someone on the network who is taking up a lot of the bandwidth, so to speak, and they are prophesying something about cryptocurrency, and it's very, very irritating and taking over a large part of this network, and it's a little hard for you to navigate around that. But you take a lot of time to focus, and because you are using your vampiric powers in a way, I'd like you to make a rouse check.
Understood. A rouse check.
So you are rousing your blood, so to speak, here, trying to tap into your powers. So you want a 6 or higher.
Oh no. Oh no. I have rolled a 1.
So your hunger is now a 2. That means it's going to be harder for you in other situations you get into tonight to restrain yourself, and you might have some difficulties. And for now, what it means is you're just really hungry, and it's really difficult for you to exclude just how hungry you are from your focus on this network, especially because apparently one piece of this network, one of these streams, is a group of Malkavians having a dinner party, and through the network you can almost feel the satiation of their hunger as they're feeding and chatting to each other through the network. So you focus more intently, and you're able to navigate through some of these streams, but it's a lot more difficult than you're used to. You're used to being able to just pick things up fairly quickly.
Absolutely. I'm imagining Rahm is like, what the heck is an NFT? As they swing past the vampire crypto clan and the munching and draining food group that is plugged into the network.
Right. So you head up, so to speak, one of these strands, one of these little streams that seems to be quietly whispering in the background. Just the more you focus, the more you can hear it as an undercurrent underneath all of the other streams. It's like this one stream is feeding into all of the others, but not in a way that's super noticeable unless you're looking for it. And you follow up that one stream in your mind, and it starts getting louder the more you focus on it, and you're starting to push out some of these other voices and other thoughts. And you hear the same voice that you heard coming out of the creepy Stephen King child last night, saying,
There you are. I wondered how long it would take you to find me. Welcome, Rahm.
Dina, I've got my coterie together, and we would like to accept your invitation. When and where is convenient?
Wonderful. Well, it depends on how much of a hurry you're in, I suppose.
Well, the night is young.
Yes. So young. But not for long.
Then let's not delay this.
Very well. Let's not. Very well. So, let's meet... Let's meet at the Fairmont. You know where that is, don't you?
I'm sure I can figure it out.
Might not let you in, but I'm sure I can figure out a way to smuggle you in.
Is there a dress code?
Well, it's a very exclusive hotel.
I'll see what I can rummage up.
Might be wise. I'll be waiting for you. Don't make it too long.
We won't.
Ta-ta.
And the stream suddenly shuts off.
I'll take a sigh and untangle myself from this lovely chair and go find the rest of the group and also look for snacks.
Well, there are plenty of snacks around.
Yeah, if there's like a cheap, small, prepackaged one already just sitting around, yeah, that one, that I'm not even gonna ask. Sorry, I apologize. Out of character, I apologize. In character, I don't.
So the wonderful thing about this bakery is that in back of house, there is nothing laying around because it is pristine back here.
Ah, well then I spent like a good 2 minutes looking before getting frustrated and eventually just going to find the party. But now I'm hangry. So, I spoke with her, and she'll meet tonight. I need to find a jacket.
Why?
Well, where we're going is a little higher class.
I look at what I'm wearing. Okay.
She wants us to meet her at the Fairmont, and we can do so tonight if we want.
Well, then we probably should, no?
The Fairmont's a pretty exclusive place.
Excellent.
They're probably going to assume I'm there to drop off a few lines for a client.
Could I get in? I probably could.
Alex, for sure. The way Alex dresses, the nice suits and well-tailored. Everyone else...
It's not unreasonable. I'd probably have something nicer to wear. Somewhere.
Oh, I definitely have all kinds of lovely things in my closet. All I have to do is go upstairs.
Alright, so what do you all do?
I want to follow to the closet. I need something to wear, and I don't care about gender presentation at this point.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
All my things are tailored, so...
Well, Dina did say that she could try to get you in if there were problems at the front desk, so...
Well, there's more than one entrance to a hotel.
This is true. So are you heading straight there?
That would be my intention. As soon as I kindly borrow some sort of jacket or coat, I will. I think we should head over.
Katerina, do you loan Rahm a coat?
No.
Come on. I'll bring it back in one piece. You can pick which one.
I value all of my belongings too much to let your hands touch them.
Because Rahm is literally wearing a tank.
Do I have like a pea coat or anything in my car just in case?
I can make it work.
You probably do, considering the weather can turn rainy without warning, so it's not unlikely that you'd have a coat in there.
Like, I don't know if it'll fit Rahm, but Rahm, if you would like, I pretty sure I have a jacket or something in my car.
Absolutely. Just tell me what it looks like. I just got to know from my phone for my own visual concept here.
It's probably like a tailored, like double-breasted wool pea coat, and it's probably in like a dark charcoal so that it'll go with everything. Yeah, so it probably comes to like, mid-thigh, but it's also for somebody who is like 6'2" and weighs like $180.
6'2", $180. That could work for Rahm. We're gonna go with that. Rahm is just shy of 6 feet tall and is reed thin. So if they might be swimming a little bit within the coat, but maybe not. It might just be the perfect fit. A little tight around the armpits, but we'll make it work.
Well, it definitely goes down to your knees or a little below, considering the height difference, but you make it work.
Yeah, I look at myself and I'm like, I look like Rasputin. This is fantastic. And I give it a little spin.
I will be back down promptly, and I just go upstairs and I change into like a nicer, basically just like a nicer dress. Goes down to the ankles. I have a pair of like all-weather boots on, and I have my trench coat in case it starts raining.
I just wish I had something more shocking to hide under the peacoat at an eventual reveal.
You could always go naked.
Life is and unlife is what we make it.
True.
All right, so you all, in your various stages of attire, head off to the Fairmont. Are you going all in one vehicle? Are you taking two separate cars? I know Marcus doesn't like to be driven.
I don't. It's kind of a thing.
I take my car. There's no way I'm getting into that tiny back seat of a car. Nope.
If I'm wearing Alex's jacket, then I am riding in Alex's car.
All right, so Rahm goes with Alex. What about Katerina? Sticking with Marcus, or are you going with Alex?
I guess it depends on who's waiting for me. I guess it'll take me a little bit longer.
Yeah, I'll wait. That's fine.
All right, so Alex and Rahm set off in front, which is probably a good idea considering Alex has a driver and a slightly fancier car. And then Marcus and Katerina follow behind in their much smaller vehicle, much less flashy vehicle. And you make your way down the 101, down to around the area of the Fisherman's Wharf, where you can find the Fairmont Hotel, which is a very, very fancy, very well-known hotel. Definitely not Marcus's sort of place at all. It's very opulent looking as you drive up, and it's fairly crowded in the parking lot. They have valet parking, so the valet stops and offers to park your car for you. Although when he sees you have a driver, Alex, he just waves your driver through. Marcus, you get stopped.
That's fine.
Are you a client of the hotel?
In a few minutes, yeah. I look down at my watch.
The valet just rather primly looks down their nose at the vehicle. Shall I park your vehicle for you, sir?
Sure, I get out. Now, there's about 405 horsepower here under the hood, so be a little careful with the gas, okay?
Understood. And they grimace.
Oh, and if it backfires, don't get scared. I pat them on the shoulder, way more like personal and in their space than they're probably ever used to.
They are very rigid and a little nonplussed, but they very obviously try to maintain this veneer of customer service politeness. Thank you very much, sir.
I drink in the social terror.
There's quite a bit of it there.
Oh, yeah, and totally open the door for Katerina, by the way, because this oaf evidently didn't.
I'm going to try and get us in, like, at least into the bar or whatever before the rest of them come in.
Right, so you go in, and the concierge looks up as you approach, wearing a nice, neat, tailored uniform. Good evening. Welcome to the Fairmont. Are you staying with us this evening?
No, I just have a meeting. So my friends and I think maybe are going to meet somebody in the bar.
Ah. And she looks over at Rahm.
Yeah, and Rahm leans in and is just like, we're here to meet our party of ours, a Miss Forthright.
Oh, you're one of her guests. That makes sense, she says, looking you up and down, Rahm. One moment, please. Shall I notify her that you've arrived?
Yes, please do.
Please.
We both say, I guess, at the same time.
Very well. The bar is over this way, and she gestures off down a hallway. You see her picking up a phone and dialing a room number.
I'll stand by there waiting for Marcus and Katerina to come in so I can point them to the direction of the bar.
Make our way inside once we arrive and try not to trying to get too excited at all of the potential fun I could have in a place like this.
You also get a very suspicious look from the concierge as you walk in, Marcus, but when she sees Alex gesturing towards you, they hold their peace.
I return the suspicious gesture. Or a suspicious look.
I just ignored the concierge, so...
Well, Marcus stands out like a sore thumb in this kind of place. But she lets you pass, and you're able to assemble in the bar.
Well, I was gonna go over to the desk and put a 20 down and be like, thank you for all your help, and slide it over. Because, you tip them.
She looks down at it, sets a book down on top of the $20 bill, and slides the book back towards her. Thank you very much.
And then, I'll head to the bar.
I'll probably look over at Alex and just say, are you always so leading with all of your partners?
What do you mean?
Well, you just generally take charge of any situation that you come into. Not that I don't mind. It's honestly great. I'm just curious.
I just find that in most situations, I'm more equipped than others.
You get the most delightful response on Rahm's face to that particular remark, and then I just follow you.
So you go into the bar. It's actually fairly empty in here at the moment. Perhaps a little odd for nighttime, but there's a couple people sitting at the bar itself, talking to each other. There appears to be some kind of business transaction happening in one corner with two people in very, very well-tailored suits talking quietly. There's some low jazz music, very tasteful. The lighting is very low and atmospheric. There's not likely to be many drunken brawls in here, in this kind of place. And there's plenty of booths and chairs and tables for you to choose from, depending on how much you want to be seen.
I try not to get a concussion from all of the social chicanery going on.
Oh yes, there's a very strong vibe in here.
These people think way too much of themselves.
So you can take a seat, probably in a booth in a back corner, give you some privacy, but also big enough for you all to sit at. And a waiter in full garb comes up and says in a very low, somewhat suspicious voice. Were you planning to order anything?
Gin and tonic. Bombay.
Yes, I'll have a martini, thank you.
Very well.
Your finest house scotch, 2 fingers, 1 piece of ice.
Their eyebrows go all the way up when you say their finest scotch, and they look a little bit more respectfully at the table.
I'm fine, thanks.
Very well. And they snap their book shut, put it in their pocket, and glide off as you settle in to this back corner.
I was going to lean over to Katerina and be like, you realize you ordered a $50 drink.
Yes, I know.
Very well.
You realize I can't afford this.
As you're having that conversation, someone else enters the bar. And who's sitting facing the door? Definitely Marcus. He'd have his back to a wall.
Yeah.
Who's sitting on Marcus's side? Katerina. Okay. So Marcus and Katerina, you see this very tall, elegant woman, very suntanned, long, wavy, dark hair. She's very simply, but very, very expensively dressed in jeans and a t-shirt, but jeans and a t-shirt that probably cost between them about $1,500 just from the way they're tailored and how simple they are. It's obvious that this is someone involved in high fashion in some way. And she's got simple but elegant makeup, and she's a bit of a head turner. As she enters the room, everyone at the bar and even the 2 business folks in the back corner just sort of stop for a second, and they turn and they look at her and they watch her move across the room towards your group. And then as she pulls up a chair and sits down at the end of your table, conversation, the low buzz in the room resumes, but she obviously made an impact as she enters. She smiles with a row of very, very white teeth. Good evening. Thank you for accepting my invitation. She looks at you, Rahm. You must be the shaman. A pleasure.
That the pleasure is all mine.
Would you mind introducing me to your friends?
Absolutely. Rahm glances and motions towards each of them. It says we have Marcus here, Alex, and Katerina. There's another member of our group. They're a bit preoccupied at the moment.
The Tremere, yes. I sensed he wasn't here. Pity. I like Tremere. They're more tuned in than the rest of the kindred clans I come into contact with. And she looks at you, Alex, and raises an eyebrow, says, You know things, though, I think. Yes. I like people who know things. And she smiles, and her long earrings jingle slightly as she turns her head, says, My people are behind us, just in case. And 3 of the people at the bar all simultaneously turn their heads to look at you.
I wave at them with the little single finger at a time movement wave.
They blink in unison and then turn back to their drinks.
So what did you want to talk to us about?
Oh, Rahm. Such silly questions. I would have expected better from you.
Then you obviously don't know me well.
Well, we've only just met. But I feel so many things through the network. I heard about your poetic endeavors.
Well, you seem to have caused a bit of a ruckus with some prophesying that you've done, and the whole city appears to be a little bit aflutter.
She smiles coyly. That's hardly my fault. I just say what the visions are. How everyone interprets them and what they do with it is up to them.
True. Just responsibly. I'm not lecturing. Don't take me as that. I swear I'm not. Well, I'll let my friends speak, but everybody is on edge.
Yes, so much delicious tension. She smiles a little dreamily. It's lovely. What do you want?
Did you or did you not speak to Luther last?
The dear departed sheriff. I never met him. I heard he was looking into me, but, it's a shame. We never actually spoke. If only he'd come to me first instead of talking to all his little friends.
Perhaps. Then you were there when Luis was discovered.
I wasn't there, but... well, I came afterwards. Wanted to see how much of my vision was actually real. Sometimes it's hard to tell. Our visions can come in metaphors and images and all those sorts of things. It's hard to tell, really, when things are literal or not.
How far ahead did you have your vision?
Well, I started having visions about this place 3 weeks ago. And then I had to make arrangements to come from Brazil. It takes time, you know. Pity we can't use the internet. It would have been so much easier over Zoom.
Is just gonna keep his mouth shut.
Yes, well, the internet's proved a little meddlesome.
Yes. A pity. So many delightful things on the internet.
I stick my tongue out. Coyly.
But when I started having the visions, I came. I wanted to see. Sometimes we have visions of things from other places. With the network and all, it's hard to know what's being influenced by the local clan members. So here I am.
So do you think that this vision deals with one clan specifically?
Oh, I hardly think so. I mean, your prince's clan brother was Nosferatu. Luther was Gangrel. And there's been others, or so I hear. So... it does seem to be a problem.
What was your vision exactly? And do you think your vision is having an effect on others? Or do you think that started before you showed up?
Well, who can say with such a strong Malkavian presence? And she smiles coyly at you, Rahm. Could be affecting anyone with as many of us as there are around here. She chuckles. As for my visions, well... it's easier just to show you.
No, we do not typically wish to engage in that way.
No thanks, I'll take a description.
She tilts her head and looks at you, Rahm. Do you want to see?
Yeah, what the heck? And I'll lean in closer.
What about you, Bruja?
I think we've probably had enough visions in our lifetime at this point.
Oh, that's what you think.
You're right. It is.
And this is why it's coming. Because you won't. Look. And she reaches out her hand to you, Rahm. You're sitting on her right. And she puts her fingers up against your temples and almost Vulcan mind meld style, you are instantly out of this room. Everything goes black just for a moment, and there's this sharp spike of pain in your head. And the rest of you just see Rahm's eyes kind of roll back into his head, and his body goes rigid. And Rahm, you are looking down from a hilltop into the San Francisco skyline. This you can see the Golden Gate Bridge, you can see all of these tall buildings and landmarks. You're seeing far more of the city than you should be able to see from this viewpoint. It's almost like a panoramic view almost, as it's kind of spinning, but everything is tinged in red. And there's a fog rolling in across the bay. And it begins sort of obscuring different parts of the city. And there are screams that come on the fog. Like, as the fog rolls in, you can hear them. And they vary in sound and intensity, but there are many of them. And Dina is standing there with you on this hilltop. Her hair is flowing behind her in the wind, and she's got her arms outstretched as she's looking down at the city, and her eyes have turned a sort of cloudy gray. And she doesn't seem to notice you. You're not sure if this is Vision Dina or the Dina who brought you in, but she's not looking at you. And there's this sort of cloudy red mist emerging from her mouth and floating down to join this fog that's rolling across the city. And the mist swirls around you, and it makes you a little dizzy, and your head swims, and you see what looks like the moon above you, but it's blood red. And not the same kind of rusty red in what humans refer to as a blood moon. It is deep crimson, and it appears to be dripping blood down into the city as it grows larger and larger and larger in the sky above you. And the world begins to spin, almost, and you find yourself in different places around the city. Now you're on the docks, now you're in the Mission District, now you're at the City Hall, now you're in a museum, now you're on Alcatraz. You're in all of these different places, and you see these shadows. And they're humanoid shadows, moving and slithering around in the dark around you. And as you reach out to try and touch some of them, they slip away. And the screaming doesn't stop. And you find yourself in a small house, and you find yourself looking at a Nosferatu who is tied by his leg to something, and he's thrashing around on the floor and screaming, and blood is pouring out of his mouth. And then he lunges forward and he rips open curtains, and the sunlight comes flooding in, and you see him screaming in agony and ecstasy as he burns in front of you and turns to ash, and the ash fills your mouth and your eyes and your nose, and you start coughing and choking, and as this ash is all around you, and you can't expel it, and still the screaming and the fog and everything is all around you, and it's overwhelming, and the screaming is getting louder and louder, and you hear something chanting in the background. You can't quite make it out, but there's this sound, this deep, reverberating voice, and a river of blood comes running through this apartment where you're standing, and you feel yourself sinking and sinking and sinking. and you see faces. You see Luther. You see this Nosferatu. You see one of your former yoga clients. You see other kindred, but you just see their heads and their faces. They don't appear to be attached to bodies, just floating down this river as you are torn away in this stream of blood. And then you snap back to reality.
I imagine I'm sweating a little bit. Or probably not sweating sweat, but perhaps sweating a little pink blood on my brow, just from reacting to the vision.
And your hands are shaking. And Dina pulls her fingers away from your temple. She appears very calm. And she's looking at you with her head tilted, inquisitively.
Well, it could be worse. I don't know how, but it could be worse. Do you know what the humanoids of shadow are? The slippery ones you can't touch, down in the screaming in the fog in the city. Do you know what they are?
I'm not sure. They might be... I'm guessing they're the ones yet to go. So we saw the faces. At least, you did see the faces, right? Of the dead ones.
I did. I didn't know if the shadow ones were the threat, or they were the victims of the threat.
I couldn't say for sure. They're just... They feel a little less menacing, I suppose. But they could be the threat.
It's fear.
This is a lot of metaphor.
Yes, that's why I thought it would be easier to show you. She tisks at the other three.
I'm not getting the brain scramblies. I mean, Alex wouldn't say that, but that's what I'm thinking.
No, I'll go ahead and turn to everyone, and I'll be like, and Rum will be like, she showed me the city. She showed me San Francisco. There was a fog over the city, and in the fog were screams. And we've all heard the blood moon motif pop up in conversation, and that was there. All around the city, there were people or creatures or humanoids made of shadow. I don't know what they were, and I don't know much about them, but they are screaming. And then there was a Nosferatu, and they were tied to something, connected to something by their leg, and then they were screaming, and they were dying, and they were fighting. And then there was sunlight, and ash, and then blood. And then a lot of familiar faces not attached to bodies, floating. I'm sorry, I wish there was more. I wish it was more concrete. But if you're looking for an omen, that's an omen, by definition. At least it explains why people are taking it seriously enough to hightail it out of here.
Yeah, if they are having these dreams and they're the same, I can't imagine that anybody would want that, considering we usually don't dream. A little bit disturbing.
Disturbing. That's a good word. Have you been dreaming?
Nope.
A little strange. People are dreaming who I haven't come in contact with. Normally it's just... I don't think you could really call what we do dreaming, but the vision. Normally, if another vampire has a vision, unless they're using magic, it's because they've been around one of us too long, one of us who's strong, with a powerful aura. Not you, dear. She smiles at Rahm. I'm used to having that effect, but from what I hear, the dreaming is happening from some I've never met. Not in the clan. It's a little odd, don't you think?
Perhaps, but we also don't know what kind of rituals are at work.
Yes, well, I don't know anything about such things. Magic is well out of my purview. Rather dirty way of doing things, I think.
Perhaps, but it still doesn't rule it out.
I think Rahm is going to excuse himself for a minute because that vision was very intense. And I think that he is feeling a bit nauseous. And you see him kind of dash off to the bathroom.
So Rahm steps away, a bit flustered, looking paler than usual. Rahm's top knot is straggling a little bit. And Dina smiles. It's a bit of a cold smile. Katerina, you work with the blood. Be careful. If there's blood magic at work, out of this group, you and the one who is not here are the most likely to be harmed.
I will take your warning under advisement.
I can't say I disagree.
Well, that's a surprise. She smiles.
It has to be... It's either a ritual or something that is tainted that is spreading.
It's hard to see. When the AIDS crisis began with the humans, some of us saw it in the visions, in the blood. There was something different in our visions, in the blood that we saw. You remember that time.
I do. It was not a fun time.
It was very disturbing for anyone. But this time, it's obscured. There is something with blood, I assume. Although it could just be a metaphor. And she looks a little frustrated for the first time. Just slightly. You catch just a hint of it around her mouth and the corner of her eyes. I would love to have visions that were perhaps a little bit more concrete sometimes. Especially when the world might be ending. But it could be a blood ritual, blood magic. It could be tainted blood. It could be a combination. I don't know.
I do know, well, I shouldn't say I know, but the working theory that I have, by the amount of people that I have heard from or spoken to directly, it seems like the oldest ones are becoming affected first.
Interesting. I didn't see that. I wonder why.
Maybe it has no relevance. Maybe it does.
They do feed more frequently.
and probably from the public.
Yes. And when she smiles, she's got this very kind of far away, very old look in her eyes. You recognize this kind of look, Alex. This is a very old vampire that you're speaking to right now. You don't know how old, but there's something that speaks to a very prolonged existence. Well, we have to do what we have to do. She stands up very elegantly. Really must be going. I miss my home. I really only came to warn people. You have to tell someone of the visions, and it wasn't quite conveyed properly over the network when I tried to connect everyone. That's the only reason I'm here. And now others know, and I don't need to be here anymore. I think I shall go home.
Okay. I'm going to slide her my business card. If you have anything else, you can always call me instead of coming here directly.
That would be lovely. Plane trips are so tiring.
They can be a drag.
She looks at you, Marcus. Marcus?
Yeah.
I'd watch out for your sire if I were you.
I'll do that.
And her head tilts slightly and her eyes go slightly milky.
Something's coming for him, I think.
Convenient.
Is any of this convenient?
It seems to be pretty convenient for you. You get to come here and rile a whole bunch of people up with a vision and then get to totter off and leave. Enjoy your trip.
Her eyes clear as Rahm comes stumbling back in. Yes, well, I've done my job. Would you rather I didn't tell you? And you could all just enjoy the apocalypse, if that's what's coming?
Well, you certainly riled the hell out of the gangrel, enough for them to consider ripping each other apart. But you don't take any credit or blame for that. You're happy to flit amongst your high-priced tables in your fancy hotels and enjoy yourself until you go wherever the fuck it is you're going. So, if you're not going to be a further assistance, I take my leave.
Her body goes kind of cold and rigid. Her shoulders go back and her nose gets set and her nostrils flare. You would do well not to speak to your elders in such a way, child.
If you're my elder, why don't you do something about it?
And she laughs. And it's not a pleasant sound, not like the sort of rippling, water-like laugh she's given before. This is not my domain. If this were at my home, with my prince, perhaps. But this is not my fight. I am doing you and yours and your prince in this little enclave of the Camarilla here a favor. I didn't have to come, Marcus Voss. I didn't have to warn you. I didn't have to do anything. At my age, I could sit in retirement in my little home and read my books and walk on the beach at night and enjoy the waves and the moonlight. I didn't have to come. Keep that in mind.
Are we done?
And she cracks her neck and smiles, and she walks out of the bar.
I'll just get up and go pay mine and Rahm's tab. And gesture to Rahm. Are you ready to go?
Rahm does not look good right now.
Well, then I will lift him under his armpits up and out.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, Rahm is suffering from what could best be described as a psychic hangover, instantly administered. And they're going to need to rest.
Rahm, why don't you give me a willpower roll?
Will do. Give me just a moment.
-2 for your hunger.
I have rolled. Yay!
Yeah, that's 4 out of 5, with one of them being a 10. So Alex has their arm up supporting you and is pulling you out of the bar and into the hallway. And there's, by the front desk, there is a uniformed police officer just standing there, very respectfully, watching. Rahm, you've got this psychic hangover, and you're hungry, and everything hurts, and your brain is a little fuzzy as Alex is helping you out, and you see this cop standing in the lobby, and as he turns his head to look at you, you can almost see the veins in his throat bulging slightly, and you can hear that heartbeat from across the lobby. Oh, you're so hungry, but no, there are other humans in here, and they'd never get the blood out of the carpet anyway. You should probably wait. Oh, but it would taste so good right now because your head hurts so much. Oh, but nope, not right now. And Alex manages to drag you out of the hotel lobby with the concierge and the cop watching you with narrowed eyes as you exit.
Perfect. Excellent.
Yeah, we'll get in my car and we'll head to my place. Oh, I would have left a business card on the table for them.
Okay. So you do have Alex's contact info. So Alex and Rahm have left the building, and Marcus and Katerina.
Yeah, I mean, I'd offer to take Katerina back to the bakery.
Did I get to finish my drink?
Oh, I didn't even drink it. It's just there for looks.
Oh, yeah, no. I'd actually like to browse the blood so that I can drink the drink.
All right, so give me a roll. And I believe you passed your rouse check earlier, so no penalty.
I rolled a 9.
All right, so you are able to enjoy the taste of this fine scotch. It is one of the best drinks you've had in a very long time. And it's, despite everything else that's going on around you, this is good.
So, I would let Marcus know that if he wishes to depart right away, he may, and I will find my own way home.
All right. Have a good night. I get up and I'll head back to the hall.
Right. Is Marcus leaving on his own?
Yeah.
Okay. So you go back outside, Marcus, and you hear a bit of an altercation. Someone is yelling something. And you look down at the gated entrance to the parking lot, and the valet has a teenager by the scruff of his t-shirt and is yelling something at him.
I think he's picked him up.
Well, he hasn't picked him up off the ground, but he's holding him so the kid can't get away.
All right. I'll step over that way because that's where my car is going to be collected from.
So as you get closer, you can see that kid's wearing a dark t-shirt, dark jeans, and they have a paper bag at their feet, and there's what looks like a can of spray paint rolling away on the ground. And the kid has a couple nose piercings and one long earring, and a mohawk, and they're just growling something at the valet who is threatening to call the cops.
I asked the valet what the problem is.
Sir, I'm sorry you had to witness this. This vagrant, this mongrel, this delinquent has been engaging in some light vandalism. And you can see on this sort of stone wall by the gate, just on the outside, there is spray painted "Eat the Rich."
Oh, that's funny. I look back at I look at his handiwork and then look at the valet. Oh, I'm sure it'll come off pretty easy.
This is vandalism of property.
Yeah, because property cares so much.
The valet bristles.
And by you holding him like that, it's assault.
I'm protecting the property. That's part of my job.
No, it's not. You're a valet. You get fucking cars. So why don't you put him down now? I'm going to intimidate this man.
All right, so if you're going to intimidate, give me resolve and intimidation. And you're going to subtract 1.
That's still 2. It's an 8 and a 7.
So your presence, I think, in this case is strong enough, and the valet is threatened by your note about assault. And so when you tell him to stop, he freezes a little bit, and then he lets go of the teenager's shirt and pushes him away and says, "Just don't come back. Go to school." Mutters something about delinquents and kids and the failures of the public school system.
I give the valet my ticket and say, "Be a good boy and collect my car."
He straightens out his jacket and tries to return himself to a professional mode. "Yes, sir, right away, sir," and runs off to collect your car.
I'll reach down and grab the spray paint bottle.
The kid hasn't run away yet. He just looks up at you, tilts his head. "Can I have that back?"
Fucking A. I hand him the spray paint can.
"You're with it." He flashes you a peace sign and runs off down the street, and you hear some other kids cackling as he runs towards them. Probably not the only light vandalism they're going to engage in this evening.
Yeah, these kids are still okay.
The valet brings your car around and takes your ticket.
I don't give him the time of day. I just get in the car.
You get in the car, and he stretches out his hand as if to ask for a tip, and then pulls it back.
Yeah, I don't think I'm going to tip this sort of a person. It's pretty clear that it's just not my kind of scene. So I'll exit left back onto Mason and then head back home.
All right, so you pull back onto the road to get out of this fancy place, and off you go. Katerina, in the bar, you are finishing up your scotch. What would you like to do?
I take a leisurely walk to the nearest trolley and make my way home.
It's a bit of a walk. The Fairmont is set away from public modes of transportation. Most people are going to come by limousine or by taxi if they don't drive their own vehicles. But it's a good clear night. You haven't indulged in alcohol in a little bit, so it also helps to clear your head. But it's pleasant. It's a nice walk. But eventually you make it back to the bakery, if that is your intent.
Yes, and go upstairs into the loft.
Okay. Lucy gives you a wave, cautiously, as you come in. She has finished preparing all of the individual boxes of treats that are going to be picked up, and then the ones that are prepared for tomorrow night's party.
I will nod my head and go upstairs.
What are you planning to do with your evening? What's left of it?
I'm going to take a look through that notebook of Luther's again and see if there's anything that I missed.
Okay. So you sit down, have some quiet reading time. Luther was a man of very few words, even in his note-taking. So there's the occasional one-word note that pops up, but you've already gathered most of this from your previous readings. It's just perhaps good to remind yourself of what he was thinking about, what he was looking into, and then those strange ramblings at the end of the book.
I have a hardline phone in the apartment too that I never use. I'll actually give Alex a call.
Okay. Alex, did you drag Rahm back with you, or are you dropping them off at their cult home?
No, I'm gonna bring him to my place, and feed him and make sure he's doing well. Also, so that he doesn't soil my $2,000 jacket, and basically just babysit because he has information, and I also didn't want to be privy to a Bruja temper tantrum. So this is where we're at.
All right. So, Rahm, you've been given some bagged blood. It's not as fresh as what you normally get, but it still helps you calm a little bit. But you're still feeling this massive hangover, and you kind of pass out. You don't normally sleep this early in the night. I say early, there's still a couple hours left in the night. You'd normally wait to the last minute, but you just need to sleep, man. And so you pass out on the couch. Alex takes their coat back. And Alex, as you finish setting Rahm up for the evening, you get a phone call.
This is Alex.
Hello, this is Katarina.
What can I do for you?
I am wondering about how long Luther was dreaming before his untimely suicide.
Well, do we have anything or did he speak to anybody, do you know?
No, but he has a journal.
Interesting. So when does it go wacky?
So you can see that the last few dated entries where he starts mumbling about dreams are from about a week and a half ago. And he marks the date for about 3 days of the dreams, and then he goes into this stream of consciousness rambling and doesn't bother to mark the days.
Well, the first mention of the dreams is from about a week and a half ago, which is familiar, as that's when Dina had the vision, and obviously is not a coincidence.
Well, Dina said that her vision was from 3 weeks ago. She started having them 3 weeks ago, but it didn't start hitting us until... Well, what was the date? How long has Luis been gone, Rena?
So Luther came to y'all a week ago, and the clan brother Luis had just been murdered 2 or 3 days before that. He didn't give you an exact time, but he did say that a couple days ago.
Okay. I really don't think that Dina really has anything directly to do with this. I think she's kind of a conduit or a bystander. And if she does have something to do with it, I think it's accidental. Honestly.
Well, if there have been more victims of this particular nature, we need to find out who they were and see if there is a recurring pattern And even more than that, if there is a lead up of intensity of dreams, etc., it may be something that we can consult with Zetrimir on, because it may be a ritual that takes several days.
I'm in contact with a Tremere that should get back to me. Also, some of the people that are dreaming, we will know if something happens. And that's the only pattern that we have right now, is to wait and see how long they die, until they die. We have to keep looking, because if we don't find out where this is, where it's centered, what's happening, that's all we got to go on.
Well, and who's targeted and why?
I don't think anybody in particular is targeted except for the elders. I mean, yes, important people have died first. I will give you that. But it doesn't look... I don't know, I might have to do some more research. But it doesn't look like it's only people in positions. Looks like some people are skipped over. Looks like some people are... I don't know if it's targeted. Maybe it is. Maybe it's somebody trying to get rid of the Camarilla presence here. It's hard to say.
Well, tomorrow night I am planning to go through all of the individuals that have access to my night services and the visitor logs and all of that, and see out of everyone who uses them the last times that they've been here. And if I'm seeing that there are too many people that are missing all of a sudden, I'd like company to perhaps see if they are all right.
Okay. That would be fine. I do have somebody else I can check in with to see if they are still okay. And then I can let you know when we speak again.
All right. I do not know if you were able to get this number or not from my call, but you can reach me at this number, especially within a couple hours of sunrise.
Okay. Thank you.
No one else has this number besides my business partner and a couple of others. So if you could keep it to yourself.
It's what I do.
And I will hang up.
And then I'll just be tending to Rahm for the rest of the night. Oh, I am going to call Trevor and see if he has time to meet tomorrow night.
Your call goes to voicemail, which isn't surprising considering he's probably running business at the club or, doing other business. But
right.
You get a text message back a couple minutes later saying that he can meet you tomorrow night at the club or anywhere else you choose.
The club's fine.
And you get a thumbs up emoji.
Of course. Damn kids. All right, yeah, so I'll meet up with him tomorrow then.
All right. So, Marcus, are you going straight back to the union office?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. So as you pull into your parking space, you hear a very loud scream.
From
down a side street. It sounds like a woman screaming in panic or fear.
Okay, well, the union area, the hall is as close to a domain as I have, so I will go and inspect.
So the scream cuts off, and as you come closer, moving at a steady pace, I assume, it turns into more husky sobbing, and you're going down this sidewalk. There's cars parked along the side of the street, and just past one vehicle, a smaller, older vehicle that's been parked there for God knows how long, just past a broken street light, you see the hunched over figure of a woman. She's sitting on the sidewalk with her back to you, and you see in what would be in front of her feet stretching out into the street. And you smell blood.
Mm-hmm.
And you recognize the back of that shirt. That's Marie.
I hustle over.
You hustle up to her. She's got her arms wrapped around her knees. Her purse is on the ground next to her with her keys. Looks like she's just dropped them, and she's sobbing and rocking back and forth because in front of her, stretched out across the sidewalk, feet sticking out into the street, is a body with a large chunk of its neck torn out. There is blood everywhere, all over the sidewalk, and it looks like this person's gut has been sliced open with, as you look a little bit closer, looks like fingernails. Long, sharp fingernails. It doesn't look like any kind of implement. And the guts have been pulled out. And there's blood and viscera and all sorts of horrors on this sidewalk. And Marie's got her eyes shut and she's rocking back and forth and sobbing.
I will, with a purposeful arm, pick Marie up. Like, I will say to her in a single word, "Come to me," in an even tone, and just pick her up so that way she doesn't have to view what happens. Is the face of the person recognizable? I know that their throat has been damaged. Obviously, they've had some pretty deep wounds to their chest and stomach, but...
Yes, the face is recognizable. It's not someone whose name you know, but they've got kind of a scruffy, unshaven, unkempt appearance. They're wearing put together, looks like out of bins, maybe from a charity shop kind of clothes, this pajama pants and the remains of an old t-shirt and then a long coat over it. And their open, horrified eyes still look kind of bleary. And this looks like one of the homeless guys that you've seen wandering around in this area for the past few months.
Do the markings remind me at all of the sheriff's death?
Not of the sheriff's death, no.
Okay. But a monster did this.
Yes.
Yes.
The signs are unmistakable.
Certainly. All right. Well, how far away from the office? Not far at all.
Not far at all. About a 5-minute walk back to the building.
Okay.
Marie is sobbing into your shoulder. I was going out to I was going to go get takeaway and I almost tripped over him and
Marie, walk back to the office with me.
Call 911?
I will take care of it. Walk back to the office with me.
Okay. And she reaches blindly for her purse and her keys and just sort of, she can't bear to bring herself to look back. So she just keeps her eyes shut. She's almost relying on you to lead her back to the building.
Oh, yeah. No, like, I'm not going to give her body position enough to look back in that direction, right? So, like, she's not going to get even the opportunity. And I will shepherd her back to the office in a expeditiously. We're not running, but we are walking with purpose. And if Marie's legs cannot propel her forward, I will walk for the both of us in that regard.
And she's definitely wobbly and she stumbles a little bit, but you're more than strong enough to keep her moving. And she's trying hard to get herself under control. She's usually in control and you've never seen her emotional like this before. But she just keeps going back into these stifled sobs as you move her away.
Yes, she's scared, and with reason, she's frightened. She's seen something terrifying. So I'll get her planted basically in an office chair, and then tell her that I will be right back. I tell her not to leave the office, and I lock the door when I leave, and then I head directly back.
She curls up almost in the fetal position in the chair with her arms around her knees and her knees drawn into her chest, and she's shaking a little bit. One of the other office employees, Milo, comes running up and puts their coat around her and says something to you about going to get her a cup of tea from the break room and that they'll look after her. They look very concerned, but someone's there to take care of her.
Great. So my first order of business is going to be to preserve the Masquerade. So while I am leaving the shop, I can't imagine it's too hard for me to find a tarp or something.
No, not down in this district for sure.
Right. I mean, from the shop, I probably have such things.
For sure.
So, or in the trunk of my car. And I want to get back there and collect that body because I certainly don't want it sitting out on the street.
Mm-hmm. All right. So you roll up the body in the tarp. It's not hard for you to do. This was a person, and a human at that, not another kindred, and he was also underfed, malnourished, and with all of the blood and viscera that have been pulled out, he's even lighter, and you're able to easily lift him into this tarp and roll it up. There is a lot of blood on the sidewalk and the street.
Yeah, well, that's one thing, but the body and the viscera is something else. I mean, I'm not going to meticulously clean every spot up, obviously. I'm getting the big pieces, the important pieces, and then I am getting it the fuck out of there. And then I will probably, once I assume I have a shipping container or two I could probably use temporarily to house something in. Okay.
Oh, for sure.
I make 2 calls.
For sure.
One is to a local all-night grocer, and I tell them that I need to put an order in for a gross amount of ice. Like I call a fish market, who will have a gross amount of ice.
All right. That's easy to do.
And the other call I make is to a member of staff and tell them to go to said grocer and go pick up a bunch of ice. We need a bunch of ice. It'll be waiting for you.
Okay. So Grace, one of your gophers in the office, heads out to do that for you.
And then I need to call Alex.
Okay. So, Alex, you get another phone call.
This is Alex.
I got a fresh one. Just showed up about a block or so from the union office. Throat torn, stomach gutted by what looked like fingernail width blades. It's Norm. It's just a bum, but pretty fresh.
Excellent.
Any interest?
Of course.
I'm putting him on ice.
Yeah, good call, because I think it's kind of late.
So yeah, just let me know when you can stop by.
Probably between 8 and 9 tomorrow.
I'll see you then.
And with that particular bit of business taken care of, we will end our session here. So thank you all for listening to our bloody business this evening, and I hope you will tune in next time for more shenanigans, more blood, and probably more terrified NPCs. Thank you, and good night.